Have you ever received a bill in the mail and you had forgotten about it and said, oh no? Or you got into a dispute with a company and the issue goes on and on and on. Well, when you own a house, some of these bills can be attached to your house. And that is why today we are talking about the 4 types of liens associated with real estate. Welcome to the First Time Homebuyer Workshop with Julie Marion. This channel is about empowering you, first-time homebuyer, because there is no possible way when you're buying your first house that you could possibly know every little detail about the 5 professions that are involved in your home buying journey. I want you to know this is a safe place. I'm not looking to become your real estate agent or sell you a mortgage. That's what's happening on this online space. But to be upfront and truthful, what I do have is this channel where all of this content here is free, of course. And then I do have another class called Homebuying Chaos Unwrapped that is hosted on my website, thefirsthtimehomebuyerworkshop.com. And we also have a paid premier course that is 6 lessons, weekly question and answer sessions, case studies, and a whole lot more that takes you from A to Z. It points out your options and it helps you find the right house at the right price, plus a whole lot more. And it's called the First Time Homebuyer Workshop with Julie Marion. This is an effort to destroy homebuyer remorse, which is well over 50% annually. We are passionate about empowering you and having you become a one-savvy homebuyer. Today, we want to understand liens because when you hold property, vendors, creditors can put liens on your property when you have gotten into a misunderstanding with someone or some company who thinks you owe them money. But it can be a mess if they put a lien on your home. The technical definition is an encumbrance upon property for payment of debt. But you know, that's not the whole story. You know me. It's more than that. A lien is a legal right or interest that a creditor has in another person's property, typically as security for the repayment of a debt or the fulfillment of some other obligation. When a lien is placed on a property, it means that property cannot be sold or transferred without satisfying the debt or the obligation secured by the lien. Let me say this again. It's a legal right or interest that a creditor has on another person's property, typically a security for repayment of debt or the fulfillment of some other obligation. And when a lien is placed on a property, it means that property cannot be sold or transferred without satisfying the debt or obligation secured by the lien. Now, there are 4 types of liens associated with real estate. Number 1 is a mortgage lien. When you take out a mortgage to purchase a home, the lender places a lien on the property. It's called a mortgage note. And in this note, it allows the lender the right to foreclose on the property if you fail to repay the mortgage loan according to the agreed terms. And you sign this, so there's no getting out of it. And it's okay since you don't have the cash to buy the house. Number 2 is a mechanic's lien. If you hire someone to perform work on your property, such as a contractor for new construction or renovations, and you fail to pay them for their services, they may file a mechanic's lien against you and your property to secure payment. Now, when we get into renovations and work done on a property, it's a good idea to get everything in writing. Don't get me started here, or this will be a 3-hour video, not your 15-minute nugget. And you're busy. I know, you're just squeezing me in right now. The other type of lien is a tax lien. If you fail to pay your property taxes, the government may place a tax lien on your property, giving them the right to seize your property if the taxes remain unpaid. So the government wants their money. And if you don't pay, then you jeopardize your house to be sold at a tax sale. However, most lenders do not want this to happen because they're in first position and they're going to lose a lot of money. So most likely, the mortgage company will step in and take the property well before the tax assessor. However, if you do not have a mortgage, say after you've paid your house off, just know this can happen to you. Then there is the judgment lien. If you lose a lawsuit and owe money to the winning party, they may place a judgment lien on your property to secure the payment of that judgment. Now, this is very, very true. I've seen this multiple times when representing sellers. However, there is something called a homestead law, and many buyers execute this when buying their first house, which it protects a certain dollar amount from the creditors of the equity of the house. And this dollar amount varies state by state. So you need to figure out what your homestead is. And we will dive into this in another content piece. So just know that it's out there right now and that the judgment lien can be placed on your property. A utility lien. If a property owner fails to pay their utility bills, such as water, sewer, garbage collection fees, the municipality may place a utility lien on the property. And that lien serves as a way for the municipality to recover the unpaid utility charges. One time I had a seller who hadn't paid for years, and when he did sell the house, the utility lien was like about $10,000. It was for water, and the water bills in the area were about $98 a quarter. So this was happening for a long, long time. The third is the code enforcement lien. If a property owner violates local building or zoning codes and fails to correct the violations, they may have to pay a fine associated with the penalties, and the municipality may place a lien on the property. It's a way for the municipality to really compel property owners to comply with the local regulations and cover any costs incurred by the municipality for enforcing the codes. Then there's something called a special assessment lien, and in some cases the local government may levy special assessments on properties within a specific area to fund improvements or services that benefit only those properties. If a property owner fails to pay that special assessment, then the local government, as we've been saying, may place a special assessment lien on the property. Liens can have serious consequences for property owners, including the potential for foreclosure if the liens remain unpaid. It's essential for the property owners to stay current on their obligations to the municipalities to avoid the imposition of liens and potential legal action. Additionally, when purchasing a property, it's crucial to conduct a thorough due diligence to identify any existing municipal liens that could affect a property's title or value. If a mistake occurs on the part of the government regarding the sale of the property, such as a miscalculation in taxes or improperly placing a lien, the responsibility for rectifying this situation typically falls on the government agency or the municipality that made the error. However, the specifics of the situation can vary depending upon the nature of the mistake and the relevant laws and regulations in the jurisdiction. And oftentimes it falls to the title company. Or if you are in an attorney state, the attorney and the title company. So you don't have to worry too much when you're a buyer, but tune in to the title insurance content piece because that one really applies here as well. Now there's pros and cons of a lien. I know it seems counterintuitive, right? But let's get a list going and list out why there are pros and cons. Pros in receiving a lien is it gives you access to credit. Having a lien on your property can allow you to obtain financing or credit when you might not otherwise qualify, as it provides security for a lender. It also can allow flexibility. Liens provide the flexibility of repayment terms, allowing you to spread those payments over a longer period, which can be helpful in managing cash flow. Now, of course, there's cons. It's the risk of foreclosure. The most significant downside of having a lien on your property is the risk of foreclosure if you fail to meet the terms of your debt obligation. This could result in losing ownership of the property. Also, you may have a hard time selling the property with a lien on it. It's more challenging as the lien must typically be satisfied prior to the property being transferred to a new owner. And this could limit your ability to sell. But honestly, it really is only a problem if all the liens combined add up to more than the market value of the house. The third con is it's a potential to damage your credit. If you default on a debt secured by a lien, it can negatively impact your credit score and make it more difficult to obtain credit in the future. Now, I want to explain access to credit a little deeper here because credit is such a huge component of credit worthiness. When I mentioned access to credit as one of the pros of receiving a lien, I was referring to the fact that having a lien on your property can often make it easier for you to obtain financing or credit from lenders. Now, here's a deeper explanation of it. Collateral. When you have a lien on your property, such as a mortgage lien, the property serves as collateral for the loan. And collateral provides security for the lender because if you default on the loan, they have the right to seize the property and sell it to recover the amount owed. Because of this security, lenders may be more willing to extend credit to you even if you have a less than perfect credit history or other risk factors. Secondly, low interest rates. Secure loans, which are backed by collateral like a property with a lien, often come with lower interest rates compared to unsecured loans. Lenders like to view secured loans as less risky because they have recourse to the collateral in case of default. So they typically are more willing to offer those lower interest rates to borrowers. Number 3 is higher loan amounts. Lenders may be willing to extend a larger loan amount when the loan is secured by a property with a lien. And the value of the property serves as a cap on the amount the lender is willing to lend. So if you have a valuable property, you may be able to borrow more money than you could with an unsecured loan. Number 4 is you have extended repayment terms. Secured loans may also come with more flexible repayment terms, such as a longer repayment period or lower monthly payments. And this can make it easier for you to manage your cash flow and repay the loan over time. Overall, having a lien on your property can provide lenders with a greater level of confidence in extending credit to you. And that can open up opportunities for financing that may not otherwise be available. However, it's important to remember that if you default on the loan, you risk losing the property to foreclosure. So it's essential to borrow responsibly and make sure you can afford the payments. So let me say this again, a little repeat here. It's essential to borrow responsibly and make sure you can afford these payments. This often gets glossed over when you say the magic words, I want to buy a house. Because in most parts of the United States, it's buyer beware. So there's a lot to learn when you have 5 professions that work full-time in their area. It's just so much information and so many choices and decisions you need to make once you embark on the home buying journey. There you have it. That's this 15 minutes of home buying knowledge, just another acorn to put in your home buying jar. Until next time, from our team to you, bye for now.